Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. The air in the hospital room was thick, saturated with the metallic smell of machines and disinfectant. John Harrington sat in his bed, his chest heavy and his skin pale, staring at the ceiling without seeing it. Each breath was an effort, as if his whole body were conspiring against him. Around him, machines hummed and blinked, recording the final beats of a heart that had once made financial markets and industrial empires tremble. John had it all: wealth, power, admiration, and fear. But life had taken from him what mattered most: love and family. His wife, Elizabeth, had died 10 years earlier in a tragic accident, leaving him alone with his empire and a loneliness that gnawed at his soul. His days, once filled with meetings and contracts, were now nothing but long hours of silence and regret. He had built skyscrapers and fortunes, but had never built genuine human relationships. Suddenly, the bedroom door opened slowly. His assistant entered, his face grave, holding a neatly folded file. "Mr. Harrington," he said in a low, almost hesitant voice. "Your nieces, Emma and Lily Harrington, have been found. They want to see you." John blinked in disbelief. Nieces? He had never had children, and his family relationships had been so distant as to be forgotten. How could orphan twins exist in his life now, just days, perhaps hours, from his imminent death? He felt a shiver run down his spine. A part of him, a part he thought long dead, lit up with a fragile, uncertain hope. What if these girls could mend what he had broken? What if, in their innocence and courage, lay the redemption he had always sought? For the first time in years, John felt both terrified and eager. Terrified by the unknown, eager to see these girls who might be his last chance to give his life meaning again. He took a deep breath, letting the trembling air fill his fragile lungs, and whispered to himself, show me what I've never known." Fate, he thought, has a strange way of striking when you're the weakest. And for John Harrington, the final act of his life had just begun. The door to John Harrington's suite creaked open, and 2 figures slipped inside. Emma and Lily Harrington, the 12-year-old twins, each carried a small, worn canvas bag. Their faces expressed both shyness and determination, a mixture of innocence and courage. John, lying in his hospital bed, watched them. His tired eyes narrowed. He couldn't believe he was actually standing before the girls whose very existence he hadn't known. Emma, the older of the twins, stepped forward first. Her green eyes shone with a mixture of curiosity and fear. "Hello, Uncle Harrington," she murmured, her voice trembling but clear. Lily, standing slightly apart, took a deep breath before clasping her hands together. "Good morning, sir," she said, her voice soft but determined. Then, seeing her uncle's pallor, she added, "We've come to meet you, we want to get to know you." John felt an emotion he hadn't felt in decades wash over him. His heart, fragile but still beating, clenched. He had never imagined that his life, marked by greed and loneliness, could be transformed by 2 children. The twins placed letters, drawings, and even a small album they had made with their memories of the orphanage on the bed. Each page told the story of their life, their hope, and, above all, their desire to change things. John extended a trembling hand toward Emma. She hesitated, then placed her small hand in his. The contact, simple yet powerful, seemed to awaken something deep within him, a mixture of remorse, tenderness, and hope. Lily, seeing this moment, approached and took her father's hand, forming a silent triangle of connection and budding love. I'm happy to see you," John murmured, his voice weak but sincere. "You are my nieces." Emma and Lily exchanged a look, a mixture of surprise and understanding. They knew that this meeting was more than just a greeting. It was the beginning of a mission, an adventure that would change not only their lives, but also John's and an entire community's. The outside world, with its shouts and financial worries, seemed to disappear. In this hospital room, 3 souls met for the first time, united by destiny, curiosity, and a strange silent promise, to do the impossible. Evening was falling on the city when John gestured for the twins to sit beside him. The soft light from the hospital lamps bathed the room, creating an atmosphere that was both intimate and solemn. Emma and Lily, sitting side by side, watched their uncle intently, their hands clasped together, ready to listen to what was to come. John took a deep breath. Every word cost him, every breath a cruel reminder of his fragility. "There is," he began, "something you need to know." He handed the girls a folder. "This is my will, but not an ordinary will." Lily frowned. "What do you mean, Mr. Harrington?" she asked, her voice trembling but curious. John explained that, despite his colossal fortune, he had always felt a tremendous emptiness in his life. No success, no building, no contract, had been able to replace what he had lost, family and humanity. He had therefore conceived one last challenge, intended to transform his wealth into something meaningful. "My possessions, my money, everything I've accumulated," he said, his voice breaking with emotion, "will be given to whoever can prove they can rectify the mistakes I've made." Emma and Lily exchanged a shocked look. The idea of having to complete a mission to inherit something seemed both daunting and exhilarating. "What kind of mistakes?" asked Emma, her curiosity piqued. John recounted how, in his quest for power and money, he had neglected the townspeople, crushed small businesses, and left families destitute. His will stipulated that only those who restored hope and dignity to those he had harmed would be entitled to his inheritance. "It's huge," Lily murmured, her eyes wide. "But, we can do it." John smiled faintly. He saw in their eyes that rare and precious determination. "I believe in you," he said simply. "If you succeed, you will not only change my fortune, but the lives of hundreds, perhaps thousands of people." The twins nodded, the weight of responsibility mixed with excitement. They didn't yet know all the difficulties they would encounter, but one thing was clear: they were ready to take on the challenge and transform the world, one action at a time. For the first time in years, John felt light. For the first time, he believed his final act could be filled with kindness, humanity, and hope. The twins, meanwhile, were ready to write the first chapter of an adventure that would surpass their wildest dreams. The very next day, Emma and Lily set to work. Their first mission took them back to the orphanage that had raised them since their parents' death. This modest and dilapidated place bore the marks of time and lack of resources. The walls were faded, the beds worn, and the garden where the children played seemed forgotten by everyone. Yet, the twins saw beyond the dust and the distress. They saw the potential, the dormant joy, and the hope waiting to be reborn. Armed with their ideas and John's discreet financial support, they began to transform every corner of the orphanage. Emma took charge of the renovations, new paint, window repairs, and bedroom setup. Lily looked after the children, organizing activities, distributing school supplies, and preparing simple but hearty meals. They weren't alone for long. Soon, other residents of the neighborhood, intrigued by these courageous girls, came to offer their help. Every gesture, every smile from the children, reinforced the twins' conviction: they truly could change lives. The children, who had known only poverty and loneliness, began to smile and laugh like never before. Their laughter echoed through the corridors, like a symphony of hope that awakened the soul of the orphanage. John, in his hospital room, followed the progress through photos and videos sent by the twins. Each image deeply moved him. He had never seen his fortune used for so much good. The children's drawings, the letters filled with gratitude, all of this gradually transformed John's heart, reminding him of what he had lost and what he could still achieve. But this first victory was just the beginning. The twins knew that the challenges ahead would be much greater: financial obstacles, powerful opponents, and difficult choices that would test their courage and intelligence. For now, they savored the moment. In the orphanage garden, surrounded by laughter and freshly planted flowers, Emma and Lily understood that a simple gesture could sow the seeds of extraordinary change. And in their uncle's tired but moved gaze, they saw the first glimmer of a miracle: redemption could begin, even on the brink of death. As the orphanage began to flourish under the twins' energy and determination, another world resurfaced: the world of business and corrupt ambitions that John Harrington had once dominated. His past enemies, former partners, and rivals, had never forgotten their grudges and now saw an opportunity to exploit the situation. One afternoon, Emma received a strange call. A deep, threatening voice on the phone told her that the funds allocated to the orphanage had been frozen by a former associate of John's. "If you want your little projects to continue, you'll have to follow our conditions," the voice growled before hanging up. Lily, sensing the tension in the air, squeezed her sister's hands. "Emma, we can't let this happen. It's not right." Emma nodded. Their childlike innocence was confronted with the harsh reality of power and money. But far from frightening them, this threat strengthened their resolve. They understood that good intentions alone were not enough to change the world. It required ingenuity, courage, and sometimes strategy. They decided to mobilize the community. With the help of teachers, neighbors, and volunteers, they organized fundraisers, charity events, and used social media to raise awareness about the situation. Every video shared, every post recounting their struggle, gained support and media attention. The twins also had to deal with more personal situations, rumors, anonymous threats, and even attempts to sabotage the renovations. But they never backed down. They learned to anticipate, to think quickly, and to stay united in the face of adversity. John, watching everything from his bed, felt a mixture of admiration and relief. His nieces were showing that they had inherited not only his blood, but also the strength and tenacity needed to transform injustice into hope. For the first time in years, he was no longer alone in his fight against time and the past. As night fell on the city, the twins remained in the orphanage's makeshift office, planning their next steps. Emma gave Lily a tired smile. "No matter what happens tomorrow, we'll succeed." Lily returned his smile with determination. "Yes, we're going to show that even two children can do the impossible." And in that silent promise, a world once cold and cruel was slowly beginning to warm up. In the days that followed, John Harrington felt a change within himself that he had never thought possible. Sitting in bed, he watched the reports and videos sent by Emma and Lily: renovated schools, families helped, smiling children. Each smile, each success seemed to erase years of loneliness and regret. For the first time in decades, John felt a new urgency: to right his wrongs, to fix what he had helped to break. His hands, once accustomed to contracts and signatures, trembled slightly as he dictated orders to his assistants. He gave instructions to redistribute funds, support social projects, and reverse some of the unfair business practices that had made his fortune but destroyed lives. Emma and Lily, despite their young age, were strategic partners in this process. They advised, questioned, and inspired John to act with integrity and compassion. Together, they became an unlikely force, a once ruthless billionaire guided by two courageous children. However, this redemption was not easy. Former partners and competitors were still trying to take advantage of the situation. But John was no longer alone. The twins, with their boldness and intelligence, anticipated the traps, defended the projects, and protected the investments intended for the well-being of the community. Each success strengthened John. Every smile from the children, every sincere thank you, every life changed, served as a reminder that money could finally be a tool for kindness rather than an instrument of power. And above all, he realized that true legacy lay not in bank accounts or real estate, but in how he could positively influence the lives of others. One evening, as the light of the setting sun filtered through the curtains, John whispered to Emma and Lily, "You have shown me what I never understood, that true wealth lies in the heart, not in coffers." The twins exchanged a smile, understanding that their mission went far beyond the simple task of heirs. They had become the catalysts of a transformation, not only for John, but for an entire city that was slowly being reborn. In that moment of calm, John felt a profound peace for the first time in a long time. Even though the end was approaching, he knew that his last acts would be filled with kindness and humanity, thanks to the strength and determination of two young girls who had done the impossible, rekindled the light in his heart. A few weeks into their mission, Emma and Lily faced their first real challenge. A former associate of John Harrington, Marcus Dalton, had learned that the twins had access to John's funds and philanthropic projects. Jealous and power-hungry, he decided to sabotage their work. One morning, the orphanage received an official seizure notice. Dalton claimed that the funds used by the twins had been illegally misappropriated and demanded their immediate return. Anxiety and fear gripped the children and staff. The twins, however, showed no hesitation. They knew they had to act quickly and cleverly. Emma took charge of the situation, carefully studying the documents. Lily, meanwhile, contacted local journalists and used social media to alert the community to the attempted sabotage. Together, they devised a meticulous strategy: legal evidence, testimonies from the families they had helped, and mobilization of public support to expose Dalton's corruption. The battle was not easy. Dalton used every resource at his disposal, attempting to intimidate and threaten the twins. But their courage and unity were stronger than fear. Each obstacle strengthened their resolve and their ability to think strategically, even when facing far more powerful and experienced adversaries. John, observing everything from his hospital room, felt a profound pride and intense emotion. His nieces had inherited not only his fortune, but also his tenacity and vision. He saw in them living proof that hope could triumph over injustice, even in the most desperate situations. After several days of struggle, thanks to the support of the community and their skill in exposing Dalton's corruption, the twins succeeded in protecting the funds and securing the orphanage's projects. The victory was sweet but intense. It marked not only the preservation of their mission, but also their passage to a maturity beyond their years. That evening, in the orphanage garden, Emma and Lily stood side by side, watching the children play and laugh, as if nothing had happened. Lily whispered, "We did it, but it will take a lot more courage to keep going." Emma nodded, her eyes shining with determination. "Yes, but we now know that nothing is impossible, as long as we remain united." And in this silent promise, the battle won against Dalton became a powerful symbol: justice and goodness can triumph, even in the face of the most formidable adversity. Emma and Lily's efforts were no longer limited to the orphanage. Strengthened by their first victory against Dalton and encouraged by the support of the community, the twins turned their attention to the entire city that John Harrington had once helped to destabilize with his ruthless business dealings. They began by identifying the poorest neighborhoods, streets where children played between dilapidated buildings, families living in precarious conditions, businesses closed for lack of funds. Each visit broke their hearts, but it strengthened their resolve. They knew they had a mission greater than their own well-being: to repair the damage caused by their uncle's past mistakes. With the help of John, who despite his fragile health continued to coordinate operations from his hospital bed, they implemented an ambitious action plan: renovating schools and libraries, supporting local small businesses, providing food programs for struggling families, and creating recreational centers for children. Each project was designed to create a lasting impact and directly affect the lives of the residents. The press began to follow their actions, and soon the entire city awoke to this new energy. Citizens, inspired by the twins' courage and determination, mobilized. Volunteers came to lend a hand, local businesses offered donations, and even some of John's former rivals decided to collaborate, impressed by the two young women's tireless work. Emma and Lily became symbols of positive change, living proof that innocence and willpower could transform a once cold and unforgiving world. Street children regained their smiles, families began to hope again, and neglected neighborhoods came back to life. John, watching the videos sent by his nieces, felt an emotion he hadn't experienced in decades. His weary, though fragile, heart filled with a new warmth. For the first time, he fully understood that his fortune, used wisely, could become a true engine of kindness and justice. One evening, as he gazed at the city illuminated by the first renovated lamps and the renewed smiles of its inhabitants, John whispered to Emma and Lily, "You have brought this city back to life, you have transformed what I had broken." The twins, hand in hand, felt the impact of their actions. They knew the road ahead would be long and full of obstacles, but they had now proven to themselves and to the world that with courage, intelligence, and determination, it was possible to change lives and transform the impossible into reality. As the twins continued their mission through the city, a new challenge arose, this time directly related to their uncle. John Harrington's already fragile health seemed to be declining even more rapidly. The doctors, though professional, remained pessimistic. The rare disease that was consuming him continued to progress. Emma and Lily, determined not to lose the man who had begun to believe in them, decided to explore every possible solution. They contacted specialists, explored experimental treatments, and enlisted the help of renowned researchers. Their tenacity and growing network, fueled by their commitment to the city, attracted the attention of doctors willing to try innovative methods to save John. After several consultations and evaluations, an experimental treatment was proposed. It wasn't guaranteed, but the twins were ready to try anything. John, though skeptical, was won over by his niece's faith and courage. "If you believe it can work, then I want to try," he murmured, his voice weak but full of confidence. The following weeks were trying. The treatment was arduous, the hospital visits were frequent, and the twins were constantly there, encouraging their uncle, watching over every detail, and talking with the doctors. Their presence gave John a strength that no machine or medicine could provide: love, hope, and determination. Gradually, signs of a miracle appeared. John's vital signs stabilized, and his strength, though limited, increased slightly. Every smile exchanged with Emma and Lily, every word of encouragement from the villagers touched by their actions, seemed to contribute to this medical miracle. John, sitting on the edge of his bed one evening, took the twins' hands in his own. You did the impossible," he murmured, his eyes shining with gratitude and emotion. "You saved me, and not just from this illness, but from loneliness, despair, and oblivion." Emma and Lily, despite their fatigue, exchanged a knowing smile. They understood that their mission went far beyond inheritance or fortune. They had created a true family bond, a miracle of love and courage that would save not only their uncle, but all the projects they had undertaken for the city. This victory, fragile but precious, gave them the energy they needed to continue. For they knew that every moment counted, and that their mission, guided by love and determination, was far from over. The whole town began talking about Emma and Lily Harrington's exploits. Local and national media reported on their actions, the transformation of the orphanage, their support for underprivileged neighborhoods, and their courageous fight against Marcus Dalton's fraudulent schemes. The twins had become a symbol of hope and courage, inspiring hundreds, then thousands of people. To celebrate these achievements, an official ceremony was held in the town center. Residents, former neighbors, and beneficiaries of the twin sisters' work gathered in large numbers. The children from the orphanage had prepared drawings and poems to thank them. Banners and flowers adorned the streets, and the atmosphere was filled with palpable emotion. John, transported in a specially prepared armchair, sat in the front row. His eyes shone with pride, and silent tears streamed down his cheeks. He had seen his nieces transform not only the lives of others, but also his own heart, offering him one last act of redemption before the end of his life. When the mayor took the floor, he declared, "Today, we honor Emma and Lily Harrington, two young girls who have shown extraordinary courage and determination. They have shown us that compassion and action can transform our city and our lives." The twins walked onto the stage, hand in hand. The applause was deafening, and tears of emotion streamed down their faces. Emma spoke, "We only did what our Uncle John inspired us to do. His support and confidence gave us the strength to believe we could achieve the impossible." Lily added, her voice clear and full of conviction, "Every smile we see today, every life touched, is thanks to those who believed in us. Thank you for giving us a chance to make a difference." John, his gaze fixed on them, murmured softly, "You have done more than I ever dared to hope for. You are my pride, my legacy, and proof that the world can change through love and determination." This public recognition was not only a celebration of their actions, but also a powerful reminder to the entire city: even the youngest, even the humblest, can bring about lasting change. Emma and Lily had proven that the impossible could become reality, and their example would inspire a whole generation. The ceremony ended under a sky lit by fireworks, while the entire city applauded these two young heroines. For John, for the twins, and for all those they had touched, this moment sealed a victory that went far beyond money. It was the triumph of hope, compassion, and courage. The following days were filled with a mixture of euphoria and gravity. The city was still celebrating the twins' achievements, but John Harrington knew his time was running out. His health, though temporarily stabilized by the experimental treatment, remained fragile, and every breath reminded him of the impending end. In his hospital room, surrounded by photos, letters, and drawings sent by Emma and Lily, John took a final moment to reflect on his life. The mistakes, the ruthless choices, the accumulated regrets, but also the redemption made possible by two young women of unwavering courage. He took a deep breath, a breath filled with gratitude and love. The twins were by his side, squeezing his hand with a tenderness and strength that seemed to convey all the energy of their youth and determination. John smiled faintly, his eyes brimming with tears. "You have accomplished what I could never, you have resurrected what I had broken." Then, in a weaker but still resolute voice, he read the final will. All his fortune, possessions, and inheritance would be dedicated to the humanitarian projects initiated by Emma and Lily. But more than that, he left a message etched in everyone's hearts, that love, compassion, and courage were the true riches of life. That evening, as the city was illuminated by the lights of the projects the twins had completed, John closed his eyes for the last time. Peacefully. Surrounded by the rediscovered love of a family he thought he had lost, he passed away with a sense of peace he had never known. Emma and Lily, though deeply saddened by his loss, knew he had entrusted them with more than a fortune, a legacy of values, courage, and responsibility. They vowed to carry on his work, to continue transforming the city and helping those in need. Every renovated school, every supported family, every restored smile would become an extension of John Harrington's spirit. In the days, months, and years that followed, the city continued to prosper. The orphanage became a center of excellence, the underprivileged neighborhoods were transformed, and the entire community remembered the actions of two young girls who had done the impossible. Emma and Lily Harrington, hand in hand, walked through the city they had helped rebuild. They knew that their uncle's true legacy lay not in money or buildings, but in the strength of hope, the power of love, and the courage to believe that a single action could change the world. And in that last breath of a life and in the beginning of a new era, John Harrington lived forever through the actions and hearts he had touched.